What's up, guys? So many of you keep asking me, Sean, how is it that you created your Beyond series toothbrush? I think it's just because of some of the video testimonials, some of the people in the industry that you're seeing, they're posting, they like it. And it's like, okay, it's beautiful. I don't actually have one with me right now, but what I do have is some brushes to tell a little bit of the story of kind of how this all started. I don't know if any of you guys know, like my dad ended up starting a dental supply company when I was like 14 or 15. And one of my earliest memories was just going to Chicago midwinter or Yankee Dental, and it being a really bad time to be in Boston and a really bad time to be in Chicago. If you've ever been to either of them, they're both in the winter. It's Boston in January and it's Chicago in February. And it just shows like dentists don't get the best times for trade shows. Sorry, dentists. And there it was, and I'm walking through the aisles of this trade show, and I'm remarking at how much candy there is in every single booth, as if to entice the dentist, like, hey, here's some candy, here's some sugar. But at that time, we didn't have electric toothbrushes. When I was 14 or 15, I don't even think there was electric toothbrushes at that time. But I do have with you. So this is kind of like almost like a modern take. This was probably like 5-6 years ago. But this is a modern take on some of the stuff that I was selling at that time. And what I'm going to do is I'm even going to go into the archives, which I have not seen for at least 8 or 9 years. So you get to see the very first toothbrushes that were part of the company my dad started back in like 2000. So 23 years ago. But yeah, there I'd be at the trade show and I would be selling to dentists manual toothbrushes, Incello, adult brushes, and youth brushes. And I remember thinking as a kid, like, it doesn't seem like dentists really care about saving money on manual toothbrushes. Because the whole idea was my dad was like, Sean, you really got to believe in what it is that we're selling. And right now, dentists get brushes between 85 cents and maybe $1.10, $1.20 if it was Oral-B, if they were imprinted. And if you went through us, you could get them for like 53 cents imprinted. And it doesn't mean there wasn't. I remember early on, one of our first competitors that was more of a affordable brand was Plaxmackers. I don't even know if they're still around. But yeah, my dad would just talk to dentists and my mom, shake their hands and tell them that he was just going to do good business. And they believed him and they trusted him. And we went to our very first trade show and walked out with a handful of practices that were going to go with this no-name company called DentoClinic. Fun fact, I don't know how many people know or would have known that because, okay, so here it is. It starts off as DentoClinic, and then it morphs to a Dental Elite. The irony is we didn't have anything elite. And then it arrived at where it's at today, which is Z Dental. The letter Z, just like my last name. You can look it up today. And that is still my dad's dental supply company. But along the way, because people are always like, well, Sean, how did you get to where you're at today? My dad always shared with me that you need to believe in what it is that you're selling. That was his like number one thing. Cause I'd always ask him, Dad, like give me a framework, give me something. And I need to learn how to do sales. And he's like, well, Sean, it starts with believing. And I was like, okay, got that. What next? And he's like, well, that's pretty much the heart and soul of sales is you need to believe. And if you really believe in it, it's going to come across. Well, come to find out, I didn't really believe in the difference a manual toothbrush was making. And many of you will ask, well, so do you believe in the difference that an electric toothbrush makes? No. When it comes to clinically, the plaque that it removes or the case studies, that has never been my angle. I realized early on, I am way more into the people than I am the products. And the first 5 or 7 years, I was very alone, not connected to the people of dentistry, maybe even longer than that. And it was all about the bristles and the look of the brush and and the effectiveness of it and the price and the value. And little by little, I realized those were mainly my dad's values. Those were what my dad believed in. But I wanted to have a more meaningful conversation with the dentist that I began caring about. Because I realized dentists across the nation weren't like, hey, like, I need to save 10 cents. I need to save 20 cents. And they weren't even freaking out about like what electric toothbrush were they going to offer. But what did keep some of them up at night was like, are my patients going to come back? Lots of stuff with staffing, but ultimately, like, can I continually and consistently grow this dental practice of my dreams? And I remember, though, one other thing as a kid is that it was really difficult for me to connect with dentists because it became very clear to me early on, if you're not one of us, we know you're not one of us, and that's exactly it. Like, you won't understand us. And I understood exactly why. I don't want to say there's a chip on the shoulder, but dental school is ridiculously difficult. So there's this like rites of passage. But then there's also the rites of passage that comes anytime a dentist decides to start their own practice or buy a practice and be a solo GP. That moment when you realize, oh my gosh, I'm not just a clinician, I'm a small business owner, and I have to put on both hats. I have to handle the art and science of clinical dentistry, and I still have to handle the business side of running this practice as well. So I get it. I always say if I'm wearing a hat, I would take it off and tip it to you, but I'm not taking it off right now. My hair is crazy. Totally freak you guys out. So let's go into the archives because I want to show you guys the very first toothbrushes. And again, I haven't opened these in 8 or 9 years. So here it is. Says archive. It is official. And I have no idea what we're going to be getting into. Hopefully there's not like some dead bugs in here or something. Okay. This is cool. I don't know if I can actually show this product because I don't really know. I can't show you the brand. So this was, if you already saw it from that camera, sorry. This was an invention that someone came to us with that you'd put any toothbrush in this, put the toothbrush through, tighten it up. I doubt this is still going to be work. No, it doesn't work. Okay. And it would turn it into an electric toothbrush by vibrating. Super cool. Sort of. Never worked. Okay. So here it is. Historic brushes is what it says. Dento Clinic. So I'm amazed that these are actually in a retail pack. But yeah, if you can see it. Dento Clinic. The kids brush, and let me get out one of the adult brushes. So literally my dad's business started when he went to Schiffer USA out of Agawam, Mass. And I don't think I ever really gave my dad the credit he deserves. He was a consultant. He had worked prior to that at M&M Mars, the candy company, and was doing some consulting work for a client. And he was very familiar with retail, so he was contacting retailers. And they said they didn't have any room for this one product because all they had room left for was toothbrushes. So he kind of just followed the mystique, the curiosity, like toothbrushes, huh? And that's when he discovered that dentists like you actually pay for the toothbrushes they hand out. Now, that might sound obvious, but for a marketer, he was thinking, okay, Oral-B and Crest, which were not together at the time, Johnson & Johnson, Aquafresh, whatever, Mentadent, that they would actually want to, I don't know, donate. It sounds weird. The brushes to different dental practices so that when someone would repurchase, they would end up being loyal to the brand. He didn't realize you guys had to pay. So when he found out, he just went to Schiffer USA. Again, it's a German company that was responsible for Johnson & Johnson, Aquafresh, a few other toothbrush manufacturers. And they had, again, a U.S. Manufacturing facility in Agawam, Mass. And he just went to them and he's like, hey, do you have any brushes that you're not currently using, any molds? I would love to come against these or compete against these national brands at a fraction of the price. And since he didn't have the crazy layers of management and overhead, he thought he could totally almost just go direct to dentist and save them money. And they agreed. And these are the molds they gave him. They gave him an adult traditional cut, an adult interdental cut, and a youth toothbrush. And I think at that time, see, it says distributed by Zion Miracle Products. That's my dad's parent company. Out of Merrimack, New Hampshire. That's crazy. That is where I'm from. And they, at that time, had this brand, Dento Clinic. And a lot of people thought, oh, are you guys a dental clinic? So we realized it wasn't the best brand. And at that time, when we rebranded to Dental Elite, I didn't have a lot to say. I was still really young. I was responsible in helping when they went from Dental Elite to Z Dental. And that's because part of me was like, well, hey, Dad, I don't really think our offerings are elite. They're good, but they're not great. And elite makes it seem like they're like high end, and they're not. They're just good products. So many people were like, Sean, how did you end up getting to where you're at today? And it's just by being part of my dad's company. It's starting to realize that like, manual toothbrushes are cool, but I don't really care about them. So when did we get into electric toothbrushes? Well, it started, I was still working for my dad's company, Z Dental, and he went to Guangzhou, the Canton Fair. It's one of the largest import-export fairs in the world. But we've been a few times. And he ended up contracting or finding this one electric toothbrush. We imported it into the US. And I'm going to show you the box in just a moment. Right at the bat, I mean, you can see. Here, I'll just show it to you. This is the brand, Z31. And right at the bat, what do you notice about it? This water graphic, I actually found, I don't know, I bought it in some sort of graphic repository, whatever, for images. And then we contracted with a design company in India, I believe, to get this created. A friend of mine is the one that did the illustration for the Sonic stuff. Again, this is, I don't know, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. It's really hard to know. And I thought we had to be just like Sonicare. And that's why it's water, it's clean, it's fresh, it just looks very similar. 31,000 vibrations per minute, 3 brushing modes, advanced sonic toothbrush, yay, Z31. This is literally my first go at it with an electric toothbrush. And once again, I realized there's a lot of great electric toothbrushes. It's not primarily about the brush. Now, that brush was not a great electric toothbrush. It was a good electric toothbrush. We wanted a great, if not amazing, almost the best electric toothbrush you could get. But even beyond that, it's not simply about the brush. And this has always been me. I care about the value that a dentist is going to get. I care about the relationship dentists have with their patients. And how is it that you can amplify that relationship? How is it that you can provide a remarkable patient experience that will get patients coming back, that will get patients to stop and be like, man, my dentist cares about me. My dentist isn't just like every other dentist that's just like, oh yeah, brush with Oral-B or brush with Sonicare. And just for the record, I think people know this if they ask me. I think Sonicare is an amazing company, creates amazing products. They're great. Oral-B, amazing company, amazing products. They're great. But I wanted to create a different game altogether. And according to those rules, I would be the only one that could win. And that is, it's not just about the product. Is the product great? Check. But beyond the product, as a dentist, if you're spending all your time trying to give your patients the best, right? You're really thinking of a 360-degree in-office experience. From the music, the way you greet them, the way that you offer them water, the intake form, the ease of it, the convenience, everything is supposed to say, at this practice, we care about you. And you're not just another patient. You're not just another person. You're part of what makes, you're part of the reason we do dentistry. And if you're wanting to break through the noise and actually show your patient your heart, what makes you different, what makes you come alive as a practice, as a culture, as a brand, well, that's why I created Zana. Okay, so we're going to get into one other thing, and that is before Zana, I had a company called Roots. And this, I'm so thankful for Roots because it's really where I learned so much about how not to do business. I learned what I didn't know about business. There we go. And so let me just quickly introduce to you. So here's one of the brushes. Beautiful orange. When you see an orange toothbrush, beautiful navy blue. This one was like gray and white. Oh, super minimal, super clean. And then this one was actually teal. And the tagline was actually love your neighbor. And you might be like, well, that's a peculiar tagline. Yeah, it's because Roots was similar to Tom's Shoes. I really got inspired by Tom's Shoes. I got inspired by what they were doing. And I was like, what if I could take that model? See, model. I say models a lot. Like, I'm always interested in innovative business models because I think models can be so disruptive, like Tom's Shoes was. And I was like, what if I could take that model, but instead of like saying, hey, if you buy a toothbrush from Roots, we're going to donate to some third world country or developing country. What if I empowered the dentist to be able to choose where they wanted to give it away? And that's exactly what Roots became. So if you were a dentist and you were volunteering at like a Mission of Mercy or some sort of dental clinic in your area because you knew there were third world mouths, I gave you the option. So if you were buying, let's say, a case of toothbrushes a month, 12 cases a year, you could donate 12 cases, or we would donate on your behalf to whatever shelter or clinic you wanted us to. It was a great idea, beautiful products, very inspiring, but I was not ready to lead. I did not know what I was doing, and I prematurely just pulled the plug on that, kind of saving it for, maybe I'll bring that back someday. So if anyone's interested in the business model for Roots and you think it's a good idea, drop a comment, let me know. The reason why I shot this video for you is because people see Care Beyond the Chair. They see Zana and the model that I've created. And it's like, I didn't just wake up one day and go, hey, I want to disrupt the electric toothbrush market. I had no idea. It wasn't something I was passionate about, wasn't something I cared about. It's just that being in dentistry and caring about dentists, caring about hygienists, caring about the team, and realizing what it was that was pain points for them, what challenges they had. I was like, well, okay, I have access to toothbrushes. Let me come up with an amazing electric toothbrush and let it not just be about the brush, the bristles, whether they're end rounded, the vibrations per second, or per minute, like the technical stuff, it's all there, the brushing modes. But more than that, what if the model put your practice, your brand at the center? And not just your brand, but also the patient and their experience at the center. And it was only because I just kept asking questions. It's only because I continued to innovate and to challenge my thinking and say, well, what if we could do more? In the beginning with Zana, I was only customizing and putting patient or people's names on it when they were an influencer at a trade show. And I would go to them and I'd give it to them and they'd be like, whoa, this is awesome. Because it was this unexpected gift with beyond what they were expecting when it came to personalization. And then I finally asked myself the question, can I do this for a patient? Can I allow a practice to get the credit for creating this experience for patients? And that's exactly what gave birth to the gift to patient option for Zana. It's just been an evolution. And it's only because my dad has believed in me. It's only because my dad had the courage when I was 14 to stop consulting and actually start a dental supply company with 2 molds, pretty much an adult mold and a kid's mold. He had no experience. He wasn't a dentist. He was in the confectionery industry with M&M Mars. But he believed. He had uncommon belief. And he had an amazing partner, my mom, that believed in him. And together, they made calls. They went to trade shows. As a kid, I was taking boxes similar to this and stuffing sample boxes. Here's one of the roots. Brushes. So just, it actually an incredibly minimal, beautiful, great grip, feels awesome. Just white bristles, no colors. Again, just meant to be clean, beautiful. But what I was saying is, like, it was just a really humble beginning. And it put me, my brother and sister through college. There I was making sample packets. And I just grew up seeing what an entrepreneur looked like, seeing what it was to make mistakes, try again, try to figure out how to anticipate what the market cared about, make more mistakes. And it was just the journey. Getting to work alongside my dad, getting to work alongside my mom, my brother and sister at one point. And just try and just keep going. And I do want this video to honor my dad. Like, such an amazing guy. Visionary. I told you one of my favorite stories, some of you guys have heard this, is I was playing a video game. I don't know, 12, 13 years old. It was Gran Turismo. I'm not sure which one, number 1, 2, or 3. But and it was probably Saturday morning, and he comes in and he's like, Sean, is that a real car? And I'm like, well, Dad, I'm playing a video game, so I don't really know. Like, what do you mean by is it a real car? Like, no, it's graphics on a screen. He's like, no. Like, meaning the car that it's portraying, is that a real car in real life? I'm like, yeah, it's the Opel Speedster. It's just not in the U.S. market. That literally led my dad to come up with a business plan, reach out to Opel in Germany, and see if he could get distributorship rights to bring in that car to the U.S. To spoil the punchline, no one has heard of the Opel Speedster in the US. It didn't work, but that's not the point. As a 14 or 13-year-old, I saw my dad, because of a video game, get an idea, act on it. And who's to say what could have happened? It didn't happen. But the point is, the idea that doesn't get shipped, the idea that doesn't get implemented or tested, is the idea that will always fail. I have the podcast Innovation in Dentistry, right? I have this hat. It says, wait, what is it? Oh, yeah. Pioneer Positive Disruption. And that's because I truly believe dentistry is going to be awesome, but it's going to be awesome because of you. It's going to be awesome because of your hunch, of your idea, of what is in you that you might think is crazy. Maybe some of your friends have said it's crazy. I hope that you aren't at peace until you release that crazy, until you just decide to say, you know what, forget it. Forget what people think. I'm going to step out. I'm going to step up, and I'm going to pioneer positive disruption this year, this month, and make something happen. So again, I want this video to honor my dad. He's just my hero. He's still alive. He would be in the other room, but right now he's actually visiting his wife's parents. And I'm here, and I'm showing up, and I'm recording and telling you guys, yeah, Beyond is beautiful. It's inspiring. I hope it can take your practice beyond what you're doing and allow you to make those uncommon connections and create those remarkable patient experiences. But I also just want to share with you, it wasn't something like my very first iteration and all of a sudden, bam, it's just beautiful. It's like, why is it beautiful? It's beautiful because I put thought into it. I put time into it. I've gone along the journey, and I've talked to the marketplace. I've talked to my friends. I've talked to those that I care about in dentistry. And along the way, I've listened. It was a year ago, and there I was visiting Brian Harris in Scottsdale. And I'm like, okay, Brian, like, here, I have a gift for you. And I'm showing him the Care Beyond the Chair box and personalization. And he's like, Sean, this is, it's really nice. But for practice like mine, I want something that's more upscale, that's more luxurious, that has a different kind of feel for my patients, for my practice. And that's exactly where Beyond was born from. One conversation where I was introducing it to a friend that I cared about. I cared about his perspective. He's not just a great dentist. He's a great businessman. And you gotta respect those people in your life that have earned it. A lot of people just like talking and saying what you should or shouldn't do just because they're talking from their own insecurities and their own fears. Don't listen to those people. Hang out with enough crazy people, but listen to the ones that have been there before. And Brian's been super successful launching product brands. So that's exactly how Beyond got born. If you're interested in any more origin stories, or you want to hear more about some of the early days with either a dental clinic or dental elite, or more about my journey, just feel free, let me know. But as always, I want to give you permission to pioneer positive disruption.